core factors that has infuriated me over the past year is how Donald Trump has gone out of his way to embody and personify every left-wing stereotype about conservatives that has ever been vomited upon us. All the progress that the right, the conservative movement has made over decades. You could go back as far as Reagan in 1980. You could go back as far as Barry Goldwater in 1964. I mean, most of my lifetime, I'm 52 years old, most of my lifetime, the progress that the right has made in debunking and discrediting the left's bigoted attacks against us has now been thrown away. Donald Trump has gone out of his way, seemingly, to prove all of them retroactively. And that's how the left is taking it, and that's what the left is doing with it. That's what they're doing with the Trump candidacy. They're saying, see, they are racist, they are this, they are that, they are homophobes, they are sexist, they are whatever. And it is infuriating because it isn't true. But that's what Donald Trump has done in this campaign. He has sabotaged conservatism and sabotaged the GOP. I mean, think about this. Trump is all about his brand, right? All about his brand. So Trump knows something about branding. Well, what has he done to the GOP brand? Yeah, he's laid waste to it. And God only knows for how long. I mean, the only thing, in that context, the only thing that we can hope is that Trump loses just so he doesn't remain at the top of the Republican Party, and maybe the party's image and reputation can somehow be salvaged. And, of course, bear in mind who will be the next president. And I think just on health alone, Hillary Clinton will be a one-term president. She would... I mean, if her health is as poor as many believe and are suggesting, and there was a radio talk show host, can't remember his name, Dr. Drew, I think was his name, who lost his radio program because he speculated not only about Hillary Clinton's poor health, but because of the incompetent, substandard 1950s era medical care that she's receiving for it. He speculated about that on the air, and his show was pulled. He was fired. So clearly, that is a major point of vulnerability for Hillary Clinton. And let me just throw this in before we get into the Kevin Williamson piece. Why is Donald Trump not talking about Hillary Clinton's health, her poor health? Things we've been hearing about throughout the campaign, about how she has to, after appearances, she has to be literally, physically carried out to her car or limo or transportation, whatever it is. There are photographs, there's film footage of her being helped up the steps of houses, front porches, whatever. And we know that she fell down and hit her head back at the end of 2012, and she has thrombosis, blood clots in her legs, and she had a blood clot in her head after hitting her head at the end of 2012. This is not a well woman, and this is not somebody that you would think just on that basis alone, as in not just that she's almost 70 years old, but can she even live through a single term in the White House? Because we've seen it for decades, what the presidency does to its occupants, the aging process that they go through. It's high stress. You know, well, remember what she said in 2008 when she was running for the Democrat nomination against Barack Obama? And remember the 3 a.m. phone call? She takes naps at 3 in the afternoon. That is a legitimate issue. You know, I mean, it's not so much age as health. I mean, the Democrats tried to make a big deal of Ronald Reagan's age in 1984, but his health was fine. But, I mean, it certainly wasn't incapacitating. Whereas Hillary Clinton, I mean, do you think that she can make it through even one term without falling apart physically, without some sort of major event, stroke, heart attack? I mean, we may end up with President Kane sometime in the next 4 years, folks. President Timothy Kane. Because Hillary might not be able to make it. It's a legitimate campaign issue. Why isn't Trump talking about it? Trump's not talking about it. Trump's not talking about Hillary Clinton's biggest vulnerability, and really the only avenue that he has, the only chance that he has left is Hillary Clinton's health. Because Donald Trump can't talk about the issues. He doesn't know jack crap about them. He's an ignoramus. He has left-wing instincts. Hey, it gets back to the reason why he's in this campaign, which is to sabotage the GOP and elect Hillary. And the fact that he's not talking about Hillary Clinton's biggest vulnerability, I think that's very telling. And you know, in the meantime, he's surrounding himself with the biggest scumbags in the world. And many people have noticed, I mean, with the hiring of Steve Bannon as his ceremonial campaign CEO, Steve Bannon, formerly of Trump Bart, and Bannon being who we are discovering that what he is, has turned, you know, the Andrew Breitbart's conservative legacy into an arm of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, you describe it to me. You tell me. So, now, is it hypocritical for Hillary Clinton to play the guilt by association game? Yeah, it is. I mean, if anybody is less entitled to play the guilt by association game, it's anybody surnamed Clinton. But in this case, not only does it make sense, she's right. Which is also another aspect of that same just infuriating obtusity of Trump supporters. That it's like that they're anti-Hillary, but they've forgotten why they're anti-Hillary. You know, they don't remember why they're opposing Hillary Clinton. So they got to make a bunch of stuff up, like my friend Douglas V. Gibbs is trying to do. Apparently, he has a guest on his radio program today. Oh, you ought to tune in. You're going to learn some things about Hillary Clinton. There's nothing I could learn about Hillary Clinton I don't already know. There's nothing that anybody could learn about Hillary Clinton that we don't already know. Hillary Clinton is the most known quantity in American politics. We know who she is. We know what she is. 25 years of Hillary Clinton. We know who Hillary Clinton is. We know who her chief of staff is, Huma Abedin Wiener. We know the Muslim Brotherhood connections and the penetrations of the State Department. We know that she's was at one time a card-carrying Marxist, Alinskyist, and I think, you know, there's still a shadow of that left. I don't think she is. She's not the hardcore ideologue that she once was. She just wants the Oval Office as a gold ring, a payoff. She's all about money and power now. And whatever she has to do, whatever she has to say to get it, she'll do it. And then this includes this guilt by association game. And Trumplicans playing into Mrs. Clinton's hands by nominating somebody who's such an easy target for it. Now, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton has a weakness for questionable, ethically vague proverbs. It takes a village from an African proverb and all that piffle. And she broke out a shop-worn specimen in denouncing Donald Trump, on this occasion, an old Mexican proverb, naturally. Who knows if it is or not, that it seems to exist largely in Democrat attack rhetoric. Tell me with whom you walk, and I'll tell you who you are. Another variation of that is sometimes it's better to be known for one's enemies, which would make me an enemy of Hillary and Trump, and that's a pretty honorable stance to hold, if you ask me. The idea being that Trump likes to play footsie with Peckerwood trash racists and the white power basement dwellers whose homepage is Breitbart, or now Trump Bart. Now, Mrs. Clinton is correct about that for what it's worth, and it's infuriating. It's infuriating to even have to say that. It's infuriating to even have to admit that. But she is right. And we're admitting it. Never Trump is admitting it because it's the truth. Let's see, this is the corrupting influence of Donald Trump. Anybody who supports Donald Trump has to either lie about that, make stuff up, or ignore it like the 800-pound gorilla in the room who's standing next to the 5,000-pound elephant. And I'll tell you what, Williamson is absolutely right about this. Undoing the damage that Trump has done to the Republican Party and the conservative movement will take years, if we're lucky. And when I say lucky, I mean if after Trump goes down to miserable defeat, that discredits Trumpism and the GOP leadership, which they claim is all about winning. I didn't think I'd be able to say that without laughing. All about winning. Remember the post-Romney 2012 post-mortem? Yeah, how'd that turn out? But and purge Trumpism, purge that corruption out of the Republican Party like the cancer it is. And as many of the Trumpists, Trumpidians, Trumplicans out of the party as well who won't renounce it. That's the only way this is going to work. And even then it's going to be tough because, what the Democrats will say, oh, see, they know, they're trying to cover their tracks. Blah, 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 blah. Never do anything based on what the other side is going to say about you. Do it because it's the right thing to do. So it doesn't matter what the other side is going to say once the purge of Trumplicanism begins post-election, if God willing it does take place. Just do it because it's the right thing to do, and it is the winning thing to do. Remember, any other candidate in the Republican field would be curb stomping Hillary Clinton into quivering cellulite right about now. Donald Trump is the only candidate she could beat, and she's beating him like a rented mule. Now, I once, or Williamson did, I've never had this done. I had a guy almost burn my hand off once. Of course, the flames never got further than the hairs on my wrist, but yeah, I'm good. Burn off my hand one. Kevin Williamson, once had a guy put a knife most of the way through his left hand, and I'd much rather have that happen again than sit through a Hillary Rodham Clinton speech. The screeching, ah! But you have to hand it to herself on this one. And I really don't want to, but you have to. faced with a sad, pathetic, gormless little political wavelet, animated mainly by the aesthetics of social media trolling, Mrs. Clinton responded with her own masterly exercise in concern trolling. And that itself is infuriating. That's a Democrat tradition, of course. Ronald Reagan was Satan himself from 1979 to 1999. After 2000, the line was, "Who is this madman George W. Bush? And whatever happened to good old Republicans like the Gipper?" George H.W. Bush, depending upon what day you ask the Democrats, was either a wimp or a bloodthirsty war criminal who had mercilessly strafed defenseless Japanese soldiers while fighting in the Pacific, and then became an insulated patrician who did not care about the common man. Now, it sounds kind of like Trump, doesn't it? Now, just ask the illegal alien Polish construction workers who built Trump Tower. Now, Mrs. Clinton, who libeled the man endlessly during his active years, holds George H.W. Bush up as the epitome of the good Republican. In other words, retired and out of office. Presumably, Dwight D. Eisenhower was compared unfavorably with Teddy Roosevelt or Chet Arthur. Chester Alan Arthur, 23rd President of the United States. Abraham Lincoln was alone spared this, being the first Republican president. Nobody pretended to miss the Whigs until modern libertarians developed a soft spot for them. I have no idea why. But still, to have a Clinton, for the love of all that is holy, run a guilt by association campaign and be right about it, is something that must rankle a mentally and morally mature human being of any political affiliation. It isn't that guilt by association is always an erroneous line of attack. Adults, especially those in the neighborhood of 70 years of age, are responsible for their associations. And I don't know why you have to get to that age before you're suddenly responsible for your associations. Guilt by association is a perfectly reasonable line of argument in many situations. But from a Clinton? I mean, where does one even begin with Clinton associates? Considering the report that former Breitbart, or now Trump Bart, boss and current Trump ceremonial campaign CEO Steve Bannon was accused during divorce proceedings of having beaten up his wife. Must not say the words Corey Lewandowski. The reliably merciless Josh Barrow wrote that Trump has a habit of surrounding himself with men who mistreat women. Fair enough. But remind me again to whom it is that Hillary Clinton is married? Yes. We get it, all right? But for pity's sake, there are a few people in American public life who have mistreated women more mercilessly and more consequentially than Bill and Hillary Clinton. Inevitably, we can expect herself to undertake stories on that same line of attack, and will be expected to forget the smear campaigns she organized against women such as Paula Jones and Monica Lewinsky, who were, let's remember this part, telling the truth about Bill Clinton's misdeeds. And then there's Mrs. Clinton's right hand, the aforementioned Huma Abedin Wiener, who walks with some interesting characters, not the least of them her husband, former Congressman Carlos Danger, Democrat Emperor's Club VIP, a.k.a. Anthony Weiner. She also served as oh, by the way, he didn't become mayor of New York, did he? or New York City. But she also served as associate editor of a radical Islamic journal, pardon the redundancy, that veered from mocking Mrs. Clinton's own brand of for-profit corporate feminism to casual anti-Semitism. You know, the sneaky Jews. And apparently, by the way, Stephen Bannon was accused by that same ex-wife of having made anti-Semitic comments when he and his, at the time, ex-wife were shopping for private schools for their daughters back in 2000. Apparently, he said, "I don't want to put our daughters here. There's Jews here." Words to that effect. The journal also claimed that the United States was responsible for the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. Abedin Wiener's mother was and is the editor of the periodical, and the fruit don't fall far from the tree. A Clinton campaign spokesman said Mrs. Danger was only a figurehead at the Islamic fundamentalist journal. Well, maybe, but a great many of those neo-Nazis wearing Make America Great Again caps think of Trump as a mere figurehead too, a convenient totem for their daft little movement, and it makes you wonder, why do they have so much confidence in Donald Trump? I mean, what do they see in Donald Trump that makes them believe that he's one of them? It's a legitimate question, and no Trumplican has ever answered it for me. But even if it is true, Huma Abedin Wiener's figurehead status is horrifying in its own way. You see what I mean? Everybody sucks 2016. None of the above. If Abedin Wiener is being used to confer prestige on an Islamic fundamentalist journal, it is not because she is married to feckless fapper Anthony Weiner, who, by the way, is Jewish. You talk about a marriage of convenience. But because she is the most important aide to the woman who in all likelihood will be the next President of the United States until she keels over of a stroke. Show me with whom you walk and all that. Now, Mrs. Clinton walks with some other pretty dodgy characters. Longtime supporter and donor Donald Trump prominent among them. It's a weird year. She sits with them, too, including all those Clinton Foundation donors and Clinton campaign supporters who got red carpet treatment at Mrs. Clinton's state commissariat. From the princes of Petro Emirates to deep-pocketed entertainment moguls to sundry Democrat grandees. In other words, Muslims, Jews, and never mind. I'm just channeling my inner Stephen Bannon. I didn't know I had one, and I don't. I'm going to purge it right now. Where's the? I don't have it right. I'll just have to use this. Oh, that's much better. No doubt Los Angeles entertainment executive Casey Wasserman had some very important national security angle he was working on when he sought Commissar Clinton's intervention on behalf of a professional football player having trouble getting a visa. He wanted to visit Las Vegas because of his criminal record. Well, you know, show me with whom you're playing ball and all that. Like I say, this is just one more thing that is so infuriating about Trump supporters. That "tell me with whom you walk and I will tell you who you are" riff is the biggest imaginable boomerang for Her Nib, Hillary Clinton, and yet, damn it, it's just as applicable to Trump as it is to her. It's stratospherically hypocritical for the old harridan to wield it, but she's right to wield it at Trump. Not only have Trumplicans made herself the next president, but they've made her right about the candidate they nominated. And by association, the GOP and every conservative and ex-conservative outside of never Trump.